Go to the technical session, and I will request and invite Mr. Kirti Rathod to please introduce our guest speaker, Madam Mohini Kelkar, Director, Sales and Marketing, Master Machines Private Limited.
Good evening, everybody. I thank you for joining us on this program, BK Mehta Technology Webinar Series, to be conducted for 12 months up to December 2021. This morning or this evening, we have one speaker with us, Mrs. Mohini Kelkar, Managing Director of Grindmasters. Grindmasters makes special purpose machines for grind, suitable for all type of applications, automotive, textile machinery, aerospace, and many more. I met Mrs. Mohini Kelkar in 2014 when two of us were being interviewed for an ICICI Emerging Leaders Awards. Fortunately, both of us won the award in that year. Because of that introduction, I have continued to be in contact with her. This evening, I was fortunate to know that she has sold her machines to 3 companies, namely LMW, Dhal, Riddhi Siddhi, and perhaps many more. Their machines are sold to leading companies like Bajaj Auto and even to foreign companies in Japan and in America. It gives you a wide perspective that if machines are being sold to Japan, which obviously is one of the toughest customers in the world, but they are still grindmasters, you can get an idea of the heights they have reached. I now pass over the mic to Mrs. Mohini Kelkar and share with us her success stories on the company and focus on customer satisfaction. Over to you, Mrs. Kelkar.
Thanks, Kirti Bhai, for that candid introduction. Very nice of you. And I would request, so this, can everybody hear me and see the screen?
Yes, madam, please.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah. So, very good evening to everybody present in this webinar. And I must thank ITMA for inviting me for this. In fact, though we sold some machines to textile machinery making companies, I mean, we really did not approach ITMA for any information or anything. I think now I will do that. That is for my personal interest. Thank you so much. So today I'm going to talk about customer satisfaction. I have been working in Grindmaster. In fact, the company was started by me and my husband. So I will quickly give you a brief introduction of Grindmaster so that the points I talk about are, properly correlated with what I want to convey. So the next screen, please. Yeah. Okay, so are you sharing the same presentation I have given? I don't think so. Some slides are gone, right? In my presentation, yes, there are slides of Grindmaster introduction. No.
The presentation
is this the earlier presentation of some, which I gave somebody else? Yeah. Yes, this is the right one. Okay, right. So introduction to Grindmaster is like this. Starting in a garage in 1984, Grindmaster is now a global player with headquarters in India, of course, a plant which was acquired by us in France to get a foothold in the Europe market. Then we have a technology center in US and also a strategic partner to whom we have licensed the technology. So it is not that we are getting American technology here, but we have licensed our technology in the US, and we have a sales and service center in China. And as Kirti Bhai mentioned, now for the couple of years, we have entered Japan in a good way and selling the machines to auto OEMs like Nissan and Mazda in Japan. We have been selling machines to Suzuki and Toyota and Honda in India. But selling the machines in Japan is quite different than selling the machines to the same companies in India. So I think it is quite a pleasure and honor to be selling machines to such OEMs in Japan. Next slides, I will explain you what my group does. So next, please. Yeah. So what is our technologies? We have homegrown technologies. Of course, we also have some cooperations both ways. I mean, we are we are cooperating on certain technologies from foreign players within India, and some technologies we are giving them. So it is a kind of a complementary situation. We have the widest range of metal finishing machines in the world. For example, in certain deburring machine range, we compete with some players, but who do not do anything in metal finishing or micro finishing. So probably we are one of the 2-3 companies globally who has such a wide range of metal finishing and deburring machines. We have more than 100 pioneering concepts in starting from cookware, which is our basic business where we started, and centerless grinding. Like Kirti Bhai said, we have machines with Siddhi, Kuster, Calico. They all fall under centerless belt grinding and polishing machines, which are used for finishing the exterior surface of shafts, rollers, tubes, bars, etc. Then we have micro finishing and super finishing, which is mostly used in typically in automotive engines, transmission, and high speed rotating parts. Some of the textile mill rolls are also finished by the super finishing process. Then we have robotic automation for grinding, deburring, polishing. Uh, in today's days, the flexible manufacturing is extremely important, and the adaptability, when the part configuration changes, the machine should be adaptable for the another part, and that is where robotic helps. So we have a range of robotic grinding and deburring machines. The next. Yeah. So all these machines are divided in 3 verticals. Let me not be more specific on that, but to help sell each and every kind of machine in a proper way, we have all the 3 verticals. Everything under one roof, meaning that it is all managed by the top management is common, and but the design teams, execution teams, they are all split into the verticals, and this was one of the good strategies that helped us do justice to every business. So this is one of the things which I wanted to share, that it is important to make these verticals also in the sales team, because otherwise proper justice is not given to each vertical. The next. Yeah, so who is Grindmaster? You can see the photo of me, my husband, and my son, who is a IIT gold medalist. And I'm really, we are fortunate, but I'm also proud that he joined our business in 2012 after having some experience in Switzerland. He worked there for a couple of years, and then he joined our business, and so he is taking the business to the new level. He developed, he is R&D director and now also CEO of our company. I think it is very essential that the next generation is given the reins, because the new blood and the new ideas are extremely important for the growth of any company. And so we are family owned but professionally managed, fast growing Indian company with global aspirations. The next, please. Yeah. So Grindmaster is a global technology leader in turnkey solutions in terms of the robotic machining and the specialized finishing machines. So these are customized machines, and I'm glad to say that that is an advantage of India. We are much more flexible than the Japanese or German companies when it comes to tailor making some machines or products to suit the specific requirements of the buyers. Because of the volatility in the market, a customer always wants to optimize the solution, and so it is necessary to customize the ideas. And that is what we are good at, and that is what creates more opportunities for us. So we have a very strong R&D team with over 25 patents, and we have global operations, as I said, and Nano Finish and Robo Finish are our brands for finishing, and Supramatic is the brand which is popular from Europe. So we are selling it as Supramatic in Europe. The next. Yeah. So now we come to this, that how this we are driving customer satisfaction excellence, and towards 100 minus 1 is equal to 0. This is a catch line which I will describe in the further slides. So we can go to the next. I think sequence has been messed up, but anyway, you can go to the next. Yeah, yeah. Next. Yeah, correct. So what is now customer satisfaction? What is it? So I say that we have to define it as that 100. And for defining that 100, lot of deliberations, lot of in-depth analysis has to be done for understanding that in the first place, and then communicating it to the organization. When a company like mine is building machines in a big way, making about 300 to 400 machines every year with 400 people working with us, it becomes necessary to transmit what is that 100 throughout the company. And very often I see that this is what is a problem in many companies, that I feel even accounts person should know who is your customer and what is he expecting, because they are totally disconnected. It becomes like different planets, and the customer is only salesperson's baby. Nobody else will be bothered about the customer. And so in the further slides, I'll tell you how we are doing it. So that understanding that 100 and then ensuring that minus 1 does not happen. Our policy is we must strive to be, so that's why I said towards 100 minus 1 is equal to 0. It is practically not possible, but when we keep this as a quality policy, everybody thinks about it and everybody works for it. So in the further slides, I'll further explain what this means further. Yeah. So the first thing is, it is very important for a turnkey solution provider like our company to partner, the customer and manufacturer like us. There has to be a partnership approach when you're building a turnkey solution. It cannot be a buyer and seller approach, which will not result into the best possible solution. So first of all, the process and application development is important. When I'm talking about, all of you know that we make deburring machines and finishing machines, and it is very, very important to determine the process and understand the application very well. And so that is why working with this partnership is very important. Tools and fixtures, control and programming, this is all a part of the solution that we provide. So we are not giving only the machine, but we are giving the solution. And that is why this partnership approach is absolutely essential for working together to achieve high quality production and low per piece cost finally. Uh, so this way the partnership approach, we have seen that with when we work with China, Japan, they really have a very well developed kind of approach when they buy any machinery. So it is for example, we have a machine worth 4-5 crores on in the RFQ, and then we are discussing this. So there is always a team of professionals from the customer's company like Nissan who go in the depth of every aspect of that machine. In India, what happens? People tell us, no, no, we want that this kind of finish, that's it. And all other things are your lookout. You know, so lookout is okay, but it is necessary to make it well productionized. It is really necessary to understand what you are ordering and what you are going to get. In India, after the machine is sold and under installation, we have sometimes experience that some maintenance person on the shop says, who ordered this machine? We don't need it. So this kind of experiences within India have taught us that, you know, how the in-depth partnership approach has to be there. And we from our side, we induce that in the customer. We ask many questions before even making a proposal. Making a blind proposal is short way of doing wrong. So this partnership approach needs to be built in. It also requires good amount of trust in each other, in each other's technical capabilities. The next. So we have a systematic approach of handling a project, which is called as Grindmaster's 6-gate approach, which involves, these are the main steps. I'll elaborate on the first 3 steps, which are very important. The first one is really important, that is our sales order, which has several, actually there is a questionnaire and there are, it's kind of SOP. So multiple questions related to the machine systems are there in this sales order. And so it captures everything that customer wants. And this is signed together with the customer so that the understanding is proper. Very frequently that 100, what is that 100? This is missing. That idea of capturing that correctly, 100 should be 100% accurate. So that is captured in the sales order because we are into the specialized equipment. So it is valid for your companies in your own ways, depending on what you are offering to your customer. And what I mean to say is understanding what customer wants is a very basic requirement, and there are always gaps in that. People just get the order and push it to the manufacturing. My company also did those mistakes a few years back, and we realized that because there was lack of understanding, wrong thing was made. So we ensure that this is captured properly and in depth. Then we have the design release, which has multiple internal reviews on the various aspects of, there is again a checklist, what all we need to check at all these stages. So in design release, again, we have interaction with the customer and we explain them what we are going to make. Of course, this happens after we get the advance from the customer because we make the specialized equipment, so it is made against the order. And so the design release happens not only by design. This is another mistake I feel. Even some European companies, I have seen that there is a disconnect between the design, sales, and execution. Everybody is on his own planet, and though everybody is good in his work, the final output, what you get, is not as good. And we all the time try to put people together, and that is why all these systems have designed to put all the brains together, let them sit together and say, even so in the design finalization, our service team comes into picture. and they say that, okay, this coolant system, this kind of filtration had this kind of problem somewhere. So let us think about it. Let us see if something better can be done. And so these continuous improvement and innovation happens because of these processes that we have. So the customer feedback is captured, and so after the design release, we have the handover assembly, because all the parts have to come together. Again, this is common in India, that people unnecessarily tend to rush. You will see, I call it a railway gate syndrome. The railway gate is closed and people try to go under the bar. And after reaching their destination, they don't do anything, but they rush. You know, so this railway syndrome, or even traffic signal, they don't like wait for the signal. But if you ask what did you do after reaching the place, relaxation, then why did you rush in the first place? So again here, customer tells us, now we have given you the order, the money, so start assembling it. So we say, unless all the parts are coming together, there is no point in assembling it. So these are the steps where if you monitor them strictly, then you will get the results in terms of the accuracy of execution. If I hand over partial parts, then somehow the assemble it, and the important part comes afterwards and it is left out. So if you want that 100 minus 1 equal to 0, you need to have this systematic approach, have the patience to wait. This is again a syndrome in India. I have never, a Japanese customer has never pushed us for the delivery, you know, that no, I have given the order today, I want the machine tomorrow. They will never say this, because their industrialization is very evolved. They understand the manufacturing process of a machine, how it is made, and it goes in a very systematic way. Similar experience you will get in your field. So that's why I'm narrating this, that it is really essential to give proper time at the step and the proper considerations before getting into the next step. The steps below are for continuous improvements, and after installation and commissioning, we monitor our machines, and also we see how it is, you know, if there is any point which we need to implement in the next machines. So the next, please. Yeah. So Kirti bhai told me that I should speak a little bit about the customer satisfaction survey, which we have also done a few times. And what my points related to this survey are as follows: that the survey should capture the feedback not only from the purchaser who is giving you the order, but from the end user also. It is very important, because finally the end user is going to indent your product. The end user will have 100 things to tell you to improve your products. You will get the ready-made ideas without paying any fees to anybody, what you need to do in your product if you speak to the end user. Very often, this is a common mistake, that the end user person only service team deals with, because if there is a complaint, then the service is handling it. But this feedback is very important to capture, and in the satisfaction survey, if you capture it, the whole the top level people will have to take the actions on that. So this is another important point, that the survey feedback should not be in the books, or should not be as a part of the process, ISO process, that okay, there is a customer feedback, but nobody has looked at it. It is important to have internal discussions and action plan based on such a survey feedback. And then another important thing is to communicate those actions, what you are taking for the improvement to the customer, because he will be very happy to know that. So unless you complete all these loops, the customer survey will not have a meaning. It will be just a document. I believe that it is important to have a look at the survey from all the top level people. So in my company, all general managers, unit heads, they sit together with the customer feedback. Sometimes it is erroneous, or sometimes it is just given for the sake of, just expressing a displeasure for some reason. Maybe the machine was delayed or whatever. But still, in that case also, I believe that it is important to talk to that gentleman from the senior level and pacify him on whatever happened in the past is going to be corrected. If there is a mistake, you should admit it and also inform him in what way you are going to correct it. And believe me, indeed, you get a good amount of correction points by going through this, not only in your product, but also in your processes. For example, you will come to know that some spare parts were not supplied accurately. So then you have to go in the root cause and details, that what exactly is wrong in your company, in your systems, and that needs improvement. Suppose there is a delivery issue which is not earlier brought to your notice, but it has happened, or delays in the logistics. All these things come into picture, and if you can, suppose you have surveyed 100 customers and 25 are complaining about delay in delivery, definitely it needs a proper attention. There is something wrong somewhere. The wrong commitments are given to the customer. That could be another one reason. Every time the delay may not be in the company, but also in the commitments. And unless that 100 minus 1 also relates to the commitments. First of all, don't give 100 commitments. But if you give 90 commitments and then do 100 things, then customer will be more happy. But this is another thing I have seen, how it is different from, say, European or Japanese. They would not give you the commitment for something which you are not able to do. And this is what also hampers our exports, because the commitments, once our Japanese partner told me that he knows a few Indian companies who never say no to anything. Anything they ask, they always say yes. And and he is there, or is there any problem? If he asked, is there any problem? They said no problem. And so he knows that if somebody says no problem, means there are many problems, and he would keep away from them. So these are the things we learned from our experience of working with all these companies, and I'm just putting together in this format. The next, please. So again, so I have put this purposely because it is extremely important to attempt and be globally competitive. Although now every country wants to be Atmanirbhar and so self-sufficient, the supply links and chains are so complicated that there are no options, but the global companies will come to India, and India has to go global to be able to survive. For survival, it is necessary that everybody becomes a globally competitive company. If you are not, then some company from somewhere will come and take away your business. And so being globally competitive means what? So demanding customer strengthens you. When I'm giving you again my example, we first made import substitute machines in India for Indian customer. And when we started approaching outside India, we realized that they are much more demanding, and they demand higher level of technology and also the better and better solutions. And so we internally learned a lot by satisfying customers globally. We have strengthened ourselves, and not only that, it has built the confidence of the team, and it has taken Grindmaster to another level altogether. And now India has a potential to become manufacturing hub for the world after China. everybody is talking about China plus kind of strategy. So a lot of business is going to come and is coming to India, which we have to really capture it. Now or never, it is a situation like now or never. So we have to do whatever it takes to be globally competitive. The next, I'm mute. Yeah. So I wish to now highlight the manufacturing process, which is a key to high quality. Let's go to the next, because I believe that the quality is the single most thing which will satisfy the customer best. We say the quality is taken for granted, but actually speaking, there is a lot to it. The next slide, please. Yeah. So the process, it is important to understand the process first. If you want to have the right quality products, if you are making some parts of textile machinery, for example, uh, what is the process that will result into the uh, consistent results of, for example, give you CP, CPK. In automotive, this is a very, very highly talked about statistical parameters. CP, CPK, PP, PPK. I'm not sure about textile machinery parts, but if not, soon it will come. So you need to define a process that can give this consistency of the result from the first job to 1 millionth job. You know, that is what it means in simple layman terms. So let me cite an example. You want to achieve a finish of say 0.2 RA value in grinding. Okay, so grinding process is not having the capability to give it so much consistently over such a over a period, over multiple jobs or over a production run. So you need to have a process, even if it is grinding, a grinding process, 2 steps or 3 steps, which will give you this. If you compromise there, you may be able to get the first trial jobs of 10, 15, 25, 50 numbers. Okay. But you will not get that CPK over 1,000 or million jobs. It is very important to, for being globally competitive, it is important to have this process in place. Even if you have IoT, Industry 4.0, I think that comes next. If your processes are not robust, if your processes are compromised, then definitely any kind of IoT is not going to improve and give you the consistent result. Let me cite an example of your own field. You have a very big textile mill roll, which requires a certain finish from one end to another. You know, you are doing 1 or 2 jobs, you have done some testing and you adopt that process. If that process is not robust, you will have to intermittently check it and correct it all the time. So defining a process which will run in production well. Same thing happens with deburring. You have multiple parts that need deburring, the edge rounding, so that your thread doesn't get cut. You have in textile machinery is quite complicated. So several parts require deburring, and the amount of burr is so different that to define a correct deburring process, you have to understand the worst burr. What is going to be your worst burr? Only then you can define a process. So that process knowledge becomes very, very important in terms of getting the robust or globally competitive manufacturing. The next. Yeah. So this talks about the robust manufacturing process, which will have no compromise approach, and this indeed pays. This is another thing what I feel is in India, the volumes are always less compared to China. We are selling a lot in China. We are exporting our machines, and we see that they never make compromise when it comes to, investing in the machinery. Whereas in India, typically MSME approach is अभी तो अपने पास इतना ही ऑर्डर है, तो ये ऐसा करके करेंगे, मतलब यू कॉम्प्रोमाइज एंड यू डू सम, यू यूज सम मशीन which is not robust in terms of the process, manufacturing process, and then you somehow do it. Then what happens is there could be rejections in that, and then when more jobs are coming to you, then you are stuck up. Whereas in China, probably the Chinese government helps them in terms of the subsidy, but they straight away invest in overcapacity. If I need to make 100 jobs, they will invest in 300 or 400 and straight away go for the technology that is suitable for the high volume production and which is a very, very robust kind of manufacturing. Straight away go for that, and they then look for the jobs, and that is how they export also more. So this kind of no compromise approach or going in for the robust manufacturing processes, actually it helps. The process, in the process development, there has to be a systematic approach. Even when you want to optimize the process to reduce the running cost, the approach has to be very systematic to change one parameter at a time, etc. And also you need to look at the world-class engineering and manufacturing standards when you are investing in the technology. So I think today India has the kind of opportunities which really make me feel that Indian, even MSMEs, should not feel risky to invest in the new technologies and methods to be able to be globally competitive and have that agility in their manufacturing system. The next. So building organizational abilities towards high quality. Next. So I'll speak a little bit about this. Yeah, so building in the quality culture, I mentioned to you the 100 minus 1 equal to 0 kind of culture requires a fanatic discipline in doing things right first time. It means that, you know, at times, even a job which costs a lakh of rupees, we have rejected because certain dimension was not correct. It was possible to salvage it, you know, but from the top management, if you say that, okay, this time you salvage, next time don't make this mistake, doesn't work. You have to be fanatic. You say, no, the part has to be as per the drawing, as per the dimension given. If it is not, scrap it, whatever be the cost. That kind of actions bring that discipline that no, in our company, that such jobs are not accepted. If there is a bill of material, everything has to be exactly as per that. So such a fanatic discipline is, uh, you know, I think you need to drive it from the top. So it is essential to keep that discipline, whatever may be the commercial implications of it. Then another thing is root cause analysis. So corrective and preventive actions. This is again something that we Indians are problem solvers. So what we do is we immediately solve some problem which has come our way, and then say, okay, we are happy. We like to be heroes, you know, and so I have solved a problem. We are happy. But what was a root cause? And what is a corrective action for the long term so that this does not recur again? This is always missing. And so specific attempts need to be made for this root cause analysis to be able to take a proper corrective action. Do not accept it has always been done this way in the past, because nothing can be done in the same way forever. You have to innovate the ways of working. The cross-functional teams, which I mentioned you, this is very important, because otherwise the people remain on their planet. They may do excellent job. I always give the example of orchestra. You have multiple musicians who can be good in their own way. If you ask them to play their music, they can really do a wonderful job. But if they are all together, if a nice song has to come out, they have to tune in each other. So this tuning is very important, and that is what it means when I say cross-functional teams. They have to be doing the continuous work together in terms of benchmarking. Then they have to, we also do the cross-functional training. For example, somebody in accounts will teach somebody in machine shop, on what is even what is a invoice and what is a delivery challan, what are the commercial, how we buy the things, etc. So this helps improve everybody's knowledge and also the response that we get out of them. Then the next one is, so people ask me, so what are the priorities, what should be the priorities? uh, to my mind, I think the first three priorities will be high quality production. Second, same, high quality production, high quality production. We are today talking about customer satisfaction. I take it to the global level. If you want to ensure the global customer to be satisfied, these are the first three things, and all other things will fall in place. And then comes IoT, automation, big data, etc. But I think a lot of MSMEs within India need really to focus on this high quality production. People say the quality is now taken for granted, but if you look closely at your manufacturing, you will know that everything needs monitoring. Everything, if you want to achieve certain results, if you have a certain foreign customer, even we used to do it in 90s. If there is an order from a big shot, like a Toyota first order, we would put in all best efforts and do it in a special way. Now no more, we cannot do it, because with 300 400 people, project by project, you cannot differentiate that this project is going to have a special attention and this project is not going to have. It's not possible. So you have to raise the bar and bring the company to a level where high quality production happens by default, not by monitoring. And that is why I say that this is still important, even before IoT and automation and big data, etc. And the strategies for this will be to commitment to the world-class quality. Come what may, my quality is going to be world-class. Whatever it takes, I'll do it. This is the first strategy. The second is focus on innovation, because the same thing cannot work year over year. So you will have to innovate in terms of the products, in terms of processes, in terms of your manufacturing strategies, marketing strategy, sales strategy. Everything needs continuous reviews and innovation be brought in there. And then important thing is nurturing millennials and engineering talent. Because see, if you look at our fresh engineers and millennials, whom we call millennials, they are extremely talented and also hungry to do more. What happens in engineering companies which are existing for more than 40 years, they have the legacy which is set by the older team. And with the older team gelling into the new team is always a challenge. And we from the management, senior management level, we have to address it correctly so that the fresh engineering talent is not lost, or they are not under some of these old talent. Of course, it is important from the experience point of view. But if you ask me frankly, today we need new ideas, out of the box thinking. And if you put these youngsters under some of those old people who have very fixed ideas, they are not willing to change, then it becomes a problem. The youngster will get frustrated and leave. So having the good talent and nurturing it with the experienced team is something which, as the business goes in the next generation level, like my business has, it becomes important to nurture the new talent at the top level as well as down the line within the company. Yeah. Next. Yeah, so that is here. I come to the end of the session, and thank you very much for the patient listening. And now I would request the questions which I can answer.
Yeah, so I think I'd be too happy if we can have about 2 questions from the audience so that, you'd be able to get a live perspective since Mrs. Kelkar has, spent valuable time with us. The floor is open. I'd like from you people, please.
Kirti, can I ask?
Yeah, please go ahead. And
Madam,
I request you to be specific because I'm sorry to say many Indians will put 7 questions as 1 question. So let's be honest, ask 1 question, 1 point. It's an area of improvement. Please go ahead.
Madam, how would you take care about your servicing of the older machine, like 20 years old machine? Right now, if you need to serve, how you have
Yeah.
design your system to serve
Yes.
the
Yeah.
after
So,
sale service? My
yeah.
main question is.
Yeah, so this requires 3 things. One is right from the day one, whatever we made every part is in the BOM. You know, in specialized machinery, this is another thing that you design something, but when you assemble it, you need something else, and then you add it, you change the bearing, you do something, and that is not documented. So in our company, we made it a point that every machine that goes out of the company has complete proper documentation. And first of all, it is made only from the part which is released from the design. So all the parts which get into the machine are properly recorded, and drawings are available. Everything is available in your system. We have the, the solid edge kind of package, which is a computerized design package, and all the data is in that. So when there is a complaint, service complaint, or somebody needs a spare part of an old machine, then we have to dig out those files, we have to take out the drawing, and also check if there was something made afterwards by the customer, because I have seen many times this also happens, that our customers are very innovative, so they change something on their own. So with our experience, we ask the customers the right question in terms of the service. We first of all get the series number of the machine that was supplied, and then dig out all the information, ask the question, and with the proper preparation, you have to send the service person. Sending a service person unprepared is a sure short way of killing yourself, because the customer loses the confidence if you and this is also another mistake many people do. And sending a guy, like people ask me, how many service people you have? I say I have a team of, say, in the 3 verticals, every vertical, one vertical is larger, so about 10 service people, in another 5, and another 3. They said, why so less? I said, because my machine should not require so much of service in first place. Frequent service is required, that means there is something wrong with my product. Do you call a service person to repair your fridge every day or every month? So making the machine to more and more perfection, so that lesser and lesser service is required, is also very important. So service feedback needs to be captured from the top level to make the improvements in their product. And so for supporting service, what the question you asked, I hope I have answered you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
The next question, please. Give some people some.
May I?
Yeah, somebody wants to raise a question. Chandresh?
Yes. Myself. Madam, myself is Chandresh Shah. We are manufacturing dyeing machines.
Okay.
Okay, normally we sold machine in Ludhiana area, like in Punjab.
Yeah.
Sometime what happened after 3 years, some part of the machines has been damaged. Like we are using stainless steel, and normally people think when you are using stainless steel, it will be a lifelong. Okay,
Hmm.
in Ludhiana, it will be create a problem within a 3 years of span of 3 years.
Hmm.
So we understood them. We say so many things to them. We clarify the matters. Everything was there, but they are not understand our things. And they said your quality is not good, and we are not using the proper material. In that
Hmm.
case, what is the solution? What we how to handle with this how to handle with this issue?
Yeah. Yeah. So here the first thing comes to my mind is what is the life of that part on the world class machine. For example, the same machine, your competing machine, your competitor's machine, what is the frequency of changing that part? You must study that.
Yeah.
Yeah, from what you described, if some of the parts of your machine are wearing faster, you could always experiment with the harder materials or the surface treatments, the heat treatment that will improve the wear resistance, or think of the new design. Actually, this is the golden opportunity for you to improve your machine actually. So I would not rather convince the customer. I would work within my design team and find out and benchmark the global machine and see what is different. It is not difficult to find that out. Everything is mechanical. You have the global machine available with you. If there is a, for example, a Swiss machine of the similar purpose, for the similar purpose, what is different in that? So then comes the question that there is always ranks of the machines in the market, so as per the price, so it is a strategic decision that you have to take, that I'm at this level of the market, whether I go to this level and this level, or I want to cater at this level. To my
Okay.
mind, you have to go to the higher level. You should have that product in your range. Say that now I can make it like this and this will last longer, it will cost more. I have seen that many times the Indian companies shy price and cost. Why are we afraid of the cost? Like my machines, what I'm selling in Japan, they are not 50 or 40% of Japanese machine cost. No way. I don't want to sell it at that cost. My price is just 10% lower, but my quality is equivalent or sometimes better. And we have the process knowledge by which we have the willingness to innovate and hard work, the processes, try show the different and better results to the customer. So with this willingness, we won the order, not with the 30% price as compared to Japanese. And I think this should be the strategy for all. I firmly believe that.
Can I say something on this one?
Chandresh bhai, can we
One minute,
say give another speaker another chance, please? Some other speaker, please. I'm sorry,
Yeah. One minute. One minute. Okay. I said
Yeah, you can
Please
communicate
carry on.
with her later and have the dialogue offline.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, some other question, please. All right. So I would like to thank Mrs. Mohini for covering a very large spectrum of ideas which Grindmaster is doing. From what I heard, I have quite a lot of learnings, and I'd like to share that with you. I'll just go to one presentation of mine to show you one slide, and then I'll continue the dialogues. Can you just switch over, please? In my presentation.
Kirti, by the time your presentation go live,
Continue next,
can ITMA provide Mohini Kelkar contact details like mail ID?
Yeah, I will provide you that. I will provide you that. The slide has come, and fortunately, Mrs. Kelkar and myself are two minds that think alike. You see is basically taken from an extract of the forms that we fill up for our TS department. And if you see, I started with marketing, go to design, vendor capabilities, purchase, production, and all the other internal departments, finance, and human resources. This, I thought, if you see the title, company-wide teams are linked to the customers, internal and external. All activities should be linked to product quality, cost, delivery, safety, morale for internal and external customers. In the center, you can see just the top part, the customer is very, very important for us. The second part, it's the management that looks at the action plan, and you have a quality management system. So I will just say that this addresses that when your internal customers are totally aware of what each one of them is expected to do, I have something as a buyer-seller arrangement. My marketing guy should give full communication to design, and then onwards, design should give full communication to capabilities and so on. You know? So this is one area of customer satisfaction within the plant, so that then everybody knows what the end customer and the internal customer wants. We have of customer satisfaction, and two other charts that are not here but are imaginary. Imagine that chart is in the center because we are manufacturers. On top of us is the customer. So all of us are doing everything to address the external customer needs, and the imaginary chart below is the supplier. When we as manufacturers give complete input of all the departments that you see in this chart, what we expect from the supplier, we have a that if there is a good incoming product and a good incoming service, we will get good inputs in order to push out good outputs, you know. So I restrict myself that I think it's very, very important that would, over the next 12 months, we have brought Mrs. Mohini Kelkar. So she is from the supplier side. She's at the bottom of the imaginary chart. I will also, no, go back, just stick to this. I will also talk to some mill owners to come over here, address what they as customers need from us. So that would be very helpful. Now, in order to make this program very, very successful, and we've got 10 months to do it, this is what I have in mind, and I need your support. I'm looking for at least 5 or 6 members, either from Ahmedabad or even from Coimbatore, who are willing to do a lean virtual tutorial. It means somebody says, yes, Kirti, I want to do it. Once we know those 12 people or 6 people, I'll tell you what we do next. Can you just switch? Yeah, my camera on me. No, on me. Yeah. Yeah, stop here. Yeah. What I have done is I will make available this book to people who are really interested in a 10-month lean tutorial. I know that it's, you could, this book is everything about manufacturing excellence. And you have 6 chapters over here, which are very, very closely aligned to this 12-month program that we are talking about over here as such. So what we will do is relevant content from this book will be given as a handout to you. I have, this is the case study of companies who demonstrate how they have done lean journey. So here are the subjects which are very closely aligned to the 12-month program that you have, number one. And there are photographs like this which show before and after how they have conducted lean in their respective companies. So this sort of material will be given to you who are really interested, that we will have a 15-day, 30-minute dialogue between all the companies put together, saying what are their problems. Because my expectation is once you have textbook material and solve case studies, you would be able to start on your own. Then every 15 days we'll have a 30-minute dialogue that what are the difficulties you are facing in doing the chapter 1 of this 12-month journey. And I will talk to 2 or 3 company members to visit your premises, and you should be free to tell them these are the problems you are expected, or we are facing in doing chapter 1. Can you help us? So I think that is a very simple way. In 30 days, I will ask you just 3 sentences. What are the improvements you have done for the 1 month time that you had? So keep in mind, this would be, you can imagine what it is. It's lean, it's virtual, and we are doing our best by giving you all handouts of the training book. We are going to do case studies also, and all of these are to the 12-month program that we have given you. On top, we will try and best to bring across one lean participant who has done lean. He will come and visit the shop floor and try and address the problems you have dialogued as such. And I definitely expect that over 30 days, you should what you have done as such. So that at least if you're running a 12-month program, and in honor and as a tribute to some of the key words that BK Mehta told us, technology, systems, R&D, LCA, students to showcase talent. When these are the tributes he has talked about, what I'm offering is networking. The networking is you have Mrs. Mohini Kelkar. She's one source that we will rely on. You have me, and you have definitely 2 or 3 other companies that are part of the ITAMA membership that will network and are available to help you. So if you really do this seriously, then it's a real honor that whatever late BK Mehta and my special friend and a special friend to all of us, Balbhai Shah, B.A. Shah, what they have done for our respective association and the members, I guess it is our tribute, it is our, I would say we must reciprocate by doing this sort of thing, you know. That's why we've got, this is a 12-month technology seminar. So one piece of this is trying to give you hands-on training. Over and above that, every month, what we will do is for that is 17th March, we will talk about the first portion. It's about safety, implementing 1S in your shop floor, and clean machines. So for these subjects, I will give you the material. I expect that within the next 5 days, 5 companies should come forward and say, yes, we are interested in doing lean virtual tutorial. And once we have that, then we will start giving all the material to these interested companies. And for the next 1 month, you will get a hand-holding and content for 1S, safety, and clean machines. So I think I will now conclude that in order whatever BK Mehta has and expected of us, we must put our best foot forward by actually practicing. And one of the things I can tell you is, even 100 times, what you have done is you have learned 100 times. That's very, very important. Similar to what Mrs. Kelkar said, I made other graphical. I'll tell you, 100 on top of it. Imagine this is what the customer wants. Make a wall, and over there you have defect, services, or product, and wall is customer satisfaction is 0. Imagine 100 is what the customer wants. Unfortunately, we give one product service or a defect service. At the end, the customer says 0 because that's what it is, Here means the customer is not satisfied. So I think I will conclude that I hope I have done my best in putting in my best effort to put across lean tutorials so that at least 2 or 3 companies should come and say we will do it. And in the interim period for the next 9 or 10 months, we will bring industry speakers from textile mills, good manufacturers, and good suppliers. We'll have some combination of these speakers who will tell us what either they expect or what they have done for lean. There are 2 sides of the coin. Customer always needs to tell you what he wants, and or also tell you the best practices they have conducted in order to be on the lean journey as such. So I think this is my, it's my desire that in order to, give the best, I would say remembrance, let's put it very soft. Now, if we would like BK Mehta and BA Shah to remember what we boys are doing, this is the best I think we can do. I will leave it now for 1 minute. If anybody wants to say anything, then we can conclude this seminar or webinar. The floor is open now.
There is a request to Madam Kelkar if she can write her contact details through chat, so members will come.
Okay, yeah, I will write here.
Kirti, we would like to join.
All right. That is which company?
Siddhi Bhagwat.
Siddhi. Okay, right. So we have one taker for this offer. Good. So like the Sotheby's auction, any more? This is an auction. We want people to say, yes, we are bidding for this, So we are bidding for the service. It's voluntary, it's online, and it's totally free. But your time and involvement is the investment that you must make,
No, and it will give a lot of input and improvement of the organization. So I consider it not as a free, but it is an opportunity, lifetime opportunity, I think. Thank you, Kirti, for extending your helping hand to the industries. I think nobody should spare Kirti for this offer. Everybody should grab it, my personal opinion.
Can I ask one question to Madam?
Yes.
Where does the customer audit stands?
Yeah. What do you mean?
What do you mean by where does the customer audit stand?
If we want to know more about the customer, can we have a scope of auditing the customer? We audit we audit accounts. Can we audit customer?
Yes. See, for our critical projects, particularly in the countries like Russia, we do kind of search the customer, but this is more for credibility, like D&B, Dun and Bradstreet kind of ratings. I don't know, it depends on the volume of business you are doing with the customer. You don't to find, you mean to find credibility, right? Or you want something else?
What are you expecting? Has Mrs. Kelkar answered your question, Mr. Matre?
Oh, see now, as far as machine is concerned, we are having machinery maintenance audit. In accounts also, we have accounts audit. We get something of it. Why we do that? Because we come to know what is the status of the machine, where the machine stands, what the machine can progress after certain time, the life of the machine, the performance of the machine. In the same way, can we introduce this type of assignment or this type of activity to know more about the customer?
Yeah.
In a way,
Yes, but it is
I think,
not.
sorry, yeah, go ahead, Mrs. Kelkar.
Yeah, I think you want to know more about your machine, not about your customer. What you describe now
Are
is
you saying that you want
regularly
to know
being
more
done by
about
us. We
your
send the
machine's
certificate.
performance? No?
See, I'll just go back to my back experience when I was working with Bitra. We were doing machinery maintenance audit, any type of machine, any makes of machine. And from that audit, we were coming to a conclusion, where is the mill status, where the mill stands, where is the mill, how the mill can progress. As far as machinery is concerned, when we consider three important aspects, like man, machine, and material, machine plays a vital role. So we used to do audits. There were a lot of studies we were doing to audit the machine, to get the in and out of the machine. In the same way,
Yeah,
customer is also a very important aspect. Now,
yeah.
this type of activity can we introduce, or can we start? Can we innovate something so that we
I-
get more
yeah,
information?
Yes, it must be there already. Like our automotive customers do have this kind of system. They tell us the downtime, they tell us the uptime of the machine, how frequently there was maintenance, how many parts, spare parts were changed over a period of 1 year, 2 year, etc. In automotive sector, this kind of analysis is a very regular thing. I don't know whether your end customer is mills, right? The textile mills. I indeed don't know whether textile mills are having this process, but having a continuous manufacturing kind of thing, there must be, this is not difficult. It can be done by proper sensors. In fact, you can, if you add some sensors in your machines, without asking the customers also, you will get the data. I hope I'm clear. You're talking about knowing your machine and monitoring how it is doing, whether it is having frequent maintenance, etc. These things are very important, and it can be found together with the customer, either through IoT or through their system, or by sending our people visiting the customer, connecting with the operating persons from the from customer, and all this should be done to capture the data of your machine quality. It is very important, and it has.
Yeah, Mr. Mhatre, are your questions answered? Okay. I can just tell you one more thing. You see the customer satisfaction survey that has been done, they're very, very extensive. So that is one way of knowing what is the customer thinking about our product or service. And another one is, I will share with you the this is a study done by TMMA and Deloitte for Indian machine tool manufacturers. This was done, I think, about 4 or 5 years ago. We asked all the manufacturers like Deluxe and Bajaj Auto. Let's take two examples. What do they want from Indian machine tool manufacturers?
Yeah.
That questionnaire, and I hope that answers, because textile machinery, Indian machine tools are brother and sister. So
Yeah.
questionnaire is with me. I will share it with you, share it with everybody, because that was an idea that we wanted our machine tools to increase the export machine tool 5-fold. In 2015, we wanted to increase textile machinery 5-fold, but the drawback was everybody was importing textile machines, and we realized that foreign textile machines are better than ours. So we had to do an audit that why are foreign machines better than ours. So this questionnaire is addressed. I hope it will help you, and I don't know if that is answering your question. Good. I will share that with all of you people, because that gives us an idea that when we want to export our textile machines and our accessories, we have an idea what foreigners expect. That's number one. And whatever you saw in Mrs. Kelkar's presentation, I think covers a very large spectrum of everything that foreigners want. So I think, having said that, there's Shrikant Fatke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quickly.
I would like to add 1 or 2 points. Customer audit is basically the concept of how that customer perceives your company to solve his problems.
Correct.
That is what I believe customer audit is. So
Correct.
you must know the solutions to his future problems also, considering his present and future needs and satisfying those needs by your product or service. So an audit is a two part. One is his feedback on your machines that is actually done, but more importantly what he may need in future, and talking about his business main problems and providing solution to that. So it is a kind of interactive business with him, and you become his business partners as such.
Yeah.
That is what I feel customer audit is.
Mr. Fatke, whatever you said is 100% right. But taking a leaf from everything that I heard during Mrs. Kelkar's, presentation, it's basically you have to be into the heart of the customer. When you are in the heart of the customer, I could see in her all the design people in her company talk to the design people at Toyota. All the delivery people talk to the two delivery guys. All the two finance guys talk to the finance guys. That's something that I represented in the earlier chart. And this is what I said. Top is the customer. In between is the chart that I showed you. Bottom is the suppliers. When you look north and south and in your own house, I think you're fairly covering a very wide swathe of people that you need to. But what Mrs. Kelkar has said, right, you have to be in the heart of the customer so that you know his current problems and future needs.
True.
The only way, it's all about customer satisfaction. If you are doing this, you are really working towards customer satisfaction. In between our lean management processes, from lean go all the way for another 7 or 10 years. When we win the Deming Prize Award, you can be quite sure that we have reached a pinnacle. There are roughly about 50 Indian companies that have won the Deming Award in the last 10 or 20 years. But it's very sad. Can you imagine only 50 Indian companies? It's very, very bad. But let's start with at least doing lean for 12 months. Then we will aim northward to win the Deming Award. Quickly, anybody wants to say anything? If not, then Mrs. Kelkar has spent a hell of a lot of time with us, and so have you. I've spent nearly 2 hours. I'd like to say thank you to everybody, and we will do our best to keep this webinar alive and active in honor of Mr. Balkrishna Mehta and Balbhai Shah. But only your contribution and your feedback and your involvement can make this webinar successful. If we don't, if it's one way talking, then I think it's not good. So I'm going to conclude that I hope that in the next 5 days, we get few more, at least 2 or 3 more members who would like to take a lean 10-month tutorial. All right. Okay. Thank you to Mrs. Mohini Kelkar, and thank you to all the participants for spending 2 hours with us. We will now meet on the 17th of March. That's number 1. In between, there is a window to meet after 15 days. I will definitely meet Bhagwat Bhai. I hope that I can meet at least 2-3 more by people saying, yes, we want to do a lean tutorial as such. Thank you very, very much for your time. Thank you, Mrs. Kelkar. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for your
Thank you.
valuable time. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you and bye, Kirti bhai.
So anyway, we have done whatever we have done. You will do.
Thank you.
So,